Someone somewhere needs to be making sure that managers themselves are not the most overloaded. Because if they are, they can't possibly do the right job by their team. Focus where you can maximize the impact on positive engagement.
Big idea number 1 is the importance of connection.
Engagement is something that's to do with a relationship. It's a relationship between the person and their job, but also the person and the organization. And you can have people who love their job but hate the organization. They're not people who are necessarily going to go the extra mile for the organization. They'll take their ideas elsewhere at the first opportunity. So to build that relationship, there has to be some sort of connection between what the business is about, typically its purpose, its core purpose, and people's day jobs, so that they can see and feel that what I'm doing is making a difference. Do you remember the old story from NASA days of, you know, we're building a rocket ship to take a man on to the moon and bring him back safely again.
Right.
And we're just having a heat pump installed at our house. And all the people working on it are so energized. They say, well, you know, it's good that we're not polluting the climate, you know, with gas central heating and stuff. So purpose is something that's very important, and leaders in particular are critical to people believing in the purpose.
Big idea number 2, shifting the emphasis on voice.
I've always thought of voice as being a bit like in the Eric Collins story I told you, you know, where he actually went and listened as well as gave information, you know, so it's a two-way street. People want to know what's going on, but they also want to be heard and know that they've been heard. So in normal times, voice can be in all sorts of ways very, very helpful, because there's a sense that if people are listened to, even if their ideas are not the ones that finally get taken on board, they're more likely to go along with what is decided, because they have been respected and, you know, they're aware of what's happening and the risks in the environment and so on, and they can make some choices of their own.
Big idea number 3 is make employees partners in designing how work gets done.
What a lot of CEOs I know are wrestling with is, what is the new business as usual going to be in terms of how we organise work, and particularly the kinds of messages we send to our workforce about where we want them to work. There are lots and lots of different variations on this theme, but I counsel against the notion that leaders themselves have the absolute solution to the way forward now, because, as I said, the last 18 months has taught people a lot about what's possible. And just reverting to the old way of doing things as a default position, along with all the things that go with that, yes, he's my favourite, she's my favourite, you know, we'll promote the people we see.
Right.
That is unlikely to be longer term attractive to people in terms of wanting to work for firms like that. So I think there is something about treating how we organise our work schedules as an area for participation by employees in an organised way.
Big idea number 4, which is supporting people as individuals.
It may sound motherhood and apple pie-ish to say support, because a lot of people say, I don't need anything from anybody, I'm fine, you know. But in a more practical sense, it's about people want to be treated as an individual. You know, even in a big organisation, I think if someone remembers your name, even, and, you know, the old party trick of some brilliant CEOs is to remember certain bits and pieces about certain people as they walk around the office, you know, ask after their child, or, you know, recognise someone's birthday. That very strong sense of I've been noticed, someone cares about me in this setting is important. And Mostly it's line managers that on a day-to-day basis this support comes from. Unfortunately, managers themselves are often not supported very much, and they pass it on. So managers need to be able to show empathy and provide the kind of support that people might need. Not everybody, not all the time, but to know what people need at a given time means they've got to be talking with those people, listening, finding out how they are, so that they're enabling others to perform at their best and to be well.
Big idea number 5, scoping out a path forward for team members.
Scope is about people having the freedom to develop themselves in a way they want to develop in terms of career. It's about having opportunities to grow a career. Companies have said in the past, oh no, we don't want to give people a load of development opportunities and then they leave us, where's the return on investment? Now I think you're unlikely to retain people unless you are offering them some stuff. And I think leaders in particular have to set the tone and really focus on talent development and a broad sense of talent as well. And, recognizing that people are unique. Someone somewhere has got to get to know what motivates a particular individual. That's usually their manager. It might be HR. It might be a senior leader.
Big idea number 6 is helping people get into roles where they can make the most of their inherent talents.
There's an approach that is called job crafting, which is essentially a variation on job design, which is usually done by a manager of the job, and a person gets slotted into the job. But job crafting is an individual and the manager working together to see, even if there's no prospect of another job, how certain elements of the job can be improved. Are there relationship elements to it that can be improved? Are there task elements that can be improved? So there's a range of things that, as a sort of little formal process, managers and individuals can work through together to see, and the individual doesn't have to sit there passively, they're active participants in this process because it's in their interest to do so, because the point of it is to make the job more motivating and fulfilling for them, as well as still delivering the value the business needs.
Big idea number 7, make time in the office count.
With the new emerging model of work patterning, being so diffuse at the moment, I think the way people are going to be working in their organisations this year may be different next year, who knows? But certainly many companies are going the hybrid way where, some people can go in for 2 days a week, others just once a fortnight, And the issue is, if you go into the office and have to face the commute and all the rest of it, and it's a ghost town when you get there, you think, well, why am I bothering? What's the added value here? That's why making time in the office count, I think, probably needs some figuring out amongst teams, because there can be real merit in people spending those short periods of time in the office to do things that are much, much better done face to face.
Big idea number 8, create career paths.
Usually, very often, there is no support from the organisation other than an annual performance review, where anybody has a conversation with that individual about how they might make the most, where the opportunities might be, and so on. And I think this notion of career pathing, which is, it's not a technical process exactly, and it's a bit clunky, but I think it's a useful one as an exercise for management teams as well as employees to work with HR to see whether it is possible to create maps of job types and types of opportunity, whether it's on projects and things, that can become a living system that people can tap into to search against their own capabilities and their own desires, where there might be opportunities coming up.
Big idea number 9, act on feedback and reward fairly.
Typically, employee engagement tends to get delegated as a project, if you like, or a responsibility to HR.
Right.
And nothing wrong with HR at all. But the usual process is to engage a consultant to carry out an engagement survey. This takes place over 6 months. Then a huge, great report gets delivered, and there's a lot of discussion about it. And then a year later, hardly anything has happened as a result.
Right.
It's a slight exaggeration, but so for me, the important thing is if you're going to do something, certainly at scale like that, you shoot yourself in the foot unless you are visibly seen to act on at least some of those messages.
Big idea number 10 is support line managers.
You can have all the things that we talked about, and you can be engaged as a result. But at the heart of it is a sense that I trust someone in this organization or the organization, and I feel fairly treated. All of this is on the assumption that I count and I'll be fairly treated. And why is it important that line managers can play their part in engagement? Because it's mostly line managers who make decisions about who does what work, the feedback they're given, the opportunities they get, the favourites that are, chosen, all those kinds of things. Someone somewhere needs to be making sure that managers themselves are not the most overloaded of people, because if they are, they can't possibly do the right job by their team. So again, it's this: who coaches the coach, who manages the managers. Then for me, that's a senior management responsibility, and it's HR as well. Because if you have the center of the system slightly broken and clunky, the system itself is unlikely to work very well. So focus where you can maximize the impact on positive engagement.
We hope you found this video valuable. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and opt in for notifications so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. If you'd like to learn more about the speaker in this video, there's a link in the description below. Also, before you go, would you like access to a free, in-depth video training on how to dramatically improve employee engagement and retention? There's a link to that free training as well in the description below. Until next time, we wish you great success building a world-class team or organization that makes a positive impact in the lives of your team members.